Today's December 25th, 2019. Merry Christmas, everyone. And Scotty boy is up to his old tricks. You're going to see here, he's talking about Rise and how he, like all these shills, slips things into the article. Let's take a look. Rise of Skywalker tops 500 million. Star Wars movies ranked from worst to best. I've never actually sat down and ranked the Star Wars movies before. Now, I don't follow Scott, so I don't know if that's true. I find that hard to believe, but I'm not going to call him out on it because I'm not going to waste my time researching it either. Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker earned $20.074 million on Tuesday for a $226.847 million 5-day total and a global cum of around 481 as of last night. Since it should be passing 500 million by the end of this sentence, why not today? A few disclaimers. This will only deal in theatrical released, sorry Ewoks, and live action The Clone Wars movie had to die so that the Clone Wars TV show could live forever. Star Wars films. Right from the beginning, tops 500 million. Well, no, it doesn't. It's 481 million. But you see how he's like, well, it might as well because it's going to. Well, I'm afraid that's not how it works, Scotty boy. It actually has to pass 500 million before you can report that it tops 500 million. Because for all you know, they don't sell one more ticket to this movie. Now, will it make it to 500 million? I'm sure it will. And I will remind everybody that I called it. This movie is going to make between $500 and $600 million. At best, $700 million. There is no chance in hell that this movie is going to make it to $1 billion. We'll see in the coming weeks. I could be wrong. We shall see. It is worth noting, without getting into Star Wars fatigue or any such thing that we've had for 5 Star Wars movies from Walt Disney in just 4 years, nearly doubling the 6 that were available prior to the release of Star Wars The Force Awakens in December of 2015. The truth is, Star Wars fans, we love Star Wars. If they dropped 10 movies right now and they were good, we wouldn't have fatigue. We'd be all going back to the movies to watch all 10 of them. We love Star Wars. There's no such thing as Star Wars fatigue. What there is Disney non-canon, nonsensical Star Wars fatigue. That's a conversation for another day. For now, here's the objectively correct ranking. Determined by science, math, and dark sorcery of the 11 live-action theatrical release Star Wars movies. Okay, we're going to do some science with you here, Scotty. First, The Rise of Skywalker. He's reporting a budget of $250 million. Nobody, not one of us, believes that. This movie cost more than Last Jedi. We have no doubts of that. And that's just the preliminary budget. They probably spent double this with all the reshoots, recuts, firing directors and crew and all their mess, remarketing, re-storyboarding. This movie is minimum of $300 million. And it's probably upwards going to $500 million. We're going to say that this is an official number released by Disney. Disney wouldn't lie, now would they? But we're going to play Disney and Scotty's game. And we're going to say, yeah, it cost $250 million. Well, guess what? Domestic box office, $207 million. So hashtag Solo lost money and hashtag The Rise of Skywalker lost money. Today is Wednesday, December 25th. Merry Christmas. And you're $43 million in the hole, Disney. So not speculating, worldwide box office is 434. And notice how he puts and counting. They haven't even reached 500. So let's review real quick. Tops 500? Well, no, Scotty boy, that's not how it works. It's 434. Even though this is a bullshit number, well, guess what? Even if we're going to play their game, they're 43 million in the hole. The Rise of Skywalker lost money. Imagine if Batman Returns had been followed not by Batman Forever, but by Batman and Robin. Imagine if Justice League spent most of its running time bouncing from one arbitrary action sequence to another and retconning plot reveals and character arcs from Batman vs. Superman. It's not just that the movie walks back both Rian Johnson's Last Jedi and J.J. Abrams' own Force Awakens while negating the entire story arc of The Return of the Jedi. It's that it spends so much time doing those things that it has no time for character interaction, forward plot, or thematic coherency. It's not much fun. It's aggressively bad, and it exists for no purpose beyond reassuring the older fans of the original Star Wars trilogy that they are still the most important fans of all. There's several problems here. I don't know why he keeps saying that it's catering to the old fans, because let me tell you something. I've been a Star Wars fan since 1977, and this movie didn't cater to me not one bit. On the contrary, it's the exact opposite. And I like how he puts it here that it's JJ's fault that he's retconning and negating the Return of the Jedi. Well, while this was the most blatant and obvious obvious blow with this Palpatine nonsense, I got news for you. From Force Awakens, they already destroyed canon, buried Luke, and destroyed Star Wars. I know some people like Force Awakens. Apparently, I don't know what y'all are smoking, but there's people that like The Last Jedi. Since the day one, Force Awakens destroyed Star Wars. So I like how he tries to put it here like, oh, we were all great, everything was perfect until The Rise of Skywalker, went and destroyed Return of the Jedi. No. Disney did that from the beginning. The only one thing Disney has done correct is Rogue One. Why? Because they didn't try to do any extra. They didn't try to do anything different. They stayed in canon, they led up to A New Hope, and it worked. It's fine to introduce new planets and characters. Most of us like that film. I know there's some people that don't, but I like Rogue One. It was well done, and on a side note, I would rather have Jyn Erso than Rey any day. Both the woman, the actress, but also the character. No, it wouldn't have made sense to use Jyn in Rogue and then now in the trilogy, but what I mean is I wish they would have swapped, that Daisy had played Jyn and that Felicity had played Rey. Just not so OP, a normal Jedi. Anyways, I think she's much more beautiful and much better actress. Just my opinion. Going by Scotty's logic, Attack of the Clones, 115 million budget and 300 million box office. That gives you 196 million in profit net. And I'm only going to talk about domestic box office. That's double Disney, which I think that's great. For whatever reason, everybody seems to hate Attack of the Clones. That's one of my favorites. I love Attack of the Clones. It just makes me very happy. It tickles me that the one movie that so many of you dislike still made double, and The Rise of Skywalker is struggling. Now, I'm kind of shocked that Scotty is defending it because, again, everybody seems to dislike this movie. I absolutely love clones. The just massive battlefield, just a million things on the screen. Again, that's my personal opinion. It's one of my favorites. Force Awakens, 245 budget, 937 net, domestic box office. So it did very well. Now let's be honest. Why did this happen? Well, because for 10 years we didn't have Star Wars and everybody was excited. Oh, Disney bought it. Now maybe they'll do something different or bigger. You got a lot of Disney fans that would have gone to the film just because. So it had that first opening hype after 10 years of no Star Wars to make that amount of money. If this had come 5 years, 3 years after Sith, it wouldn't have made that kind of money. We all know that. This was because of the amount of time and the hype, and it was the first Disney film. In any event, that is 692 million in profit. That's real good. Nobody can deny that. Phantom Menace, 115, made 474 domestic box office. So that's 3 times. It's $360 million. Solo, a Star Wars movie, 275 million budget, 214 million net. Negative 61 million. Hashtag Solo lost money. Rogue One, 200 million. It made 532 million. $332 million of profit. Return of the Jedi, 33 million. $309 million. George came up big time on Return of the Jedi. $276 million. The second highest profit from an opening weekend for George Lucas, which is ironic because obviously everybody would have thought Empire, but it's not. It's Return of the Jedi. Star Wars, 11 million. 460 million. That is a profit of 449 million. Now let's put something into perspective here. Rise of Skywalker cost 250 million. Star Wars cost $11 million. Now granted, in 1977, $11 million was a lot more money, but it was $11 million, and it made 460. Rise of Skywalker right now is at 430, and it cost 250. So the first Star Wars movie outperformed the last Star Wars movie tremendously. Not to mention that this is profit, and while there was some marketing, it wasn't nearly as much. There wasn't TV commercials and all that extra stuff. There wasn't all the toys and stuff going on. After Star Wars A New Hope, that's when all the really merchandise and marketing came. It literally cost George $11 million. Whereas The Rise of Skywalker, they're lying at 250 for a budget, but even if we play their little game, cost them $250 million. Revenge of the Sith, budget 115 million. Domestic, 380 million. So it made double. The Empire Strikes Back, 290 million. Worldwide box office, 548 million. It's almost double. That is a profit of 258 million. By the way, Revenge of the Sith was 265 million. The Last Jedi. Now here's where it gets good. 317 million, 620 million. So it made about double. It's good. With the best live action performance of Mark Hamill's career. Did you hear that? The best live action performance. You mean him being a hermit and being pissed off and not wanting to be himself? Dynamite action sequences and a story that confronts and critiques Star Wars pop culture legacy. Yeah, it sure did confront and critique our legacy and its older fans, while affirming its value for today's kids. The Last Jedi is the best movie ever made in the Star Wars saga. Oh boy, Scotty. Scotty boy, you're still on that Last Jedi. In my same video from the 23rd, you can see here the tomato meter from critics was 343 critics at 57%. Audience score is 86% from 18,000 critics. I have been watching this closely since The Rise of Skywalker premiered. This started at 52, it went to 54, 55, 56, I believe it jumped to 58. The highest I saw it was 58 or 59. It definitely has not hit 60. And this I saw start out at 2,000, then 8,000, then 12,000, then 18,000, which was here in my video. Then I saw it go to 20. Looking now today, December 25th, Christmas of 2019, it is at 412 critics. And guess what? It's gone down to 55. And that's probably where it's going to stay at this point because there's not going to be too many more critics coming in. That number's been pretty solid. That's probably where it's going to land is at 55% out of 100. That's telling you the truth there because they can't skew this or manipulate this. But isn't it interesting that, remember I told you a moment ago, I saw it go to 18, 20,000. I saw it go to 22,000, 24,000. Now I haven't looked probably since the 23rd, 2 days, and now we're at 50,000 audience score reviews, and it's still at 86. Rotten Tomatoes is known to mess with the scores, and they're protecting Disney. Rotten Tomatoes is owned by Fandango. The owner of Fandango is an ex-Disney employee, so it's not a coincidence. There's no way that from 2,000 verified ratings to now 50,000 verified ratings, this 86% has not changed. Even if it was better, we would believe it. Even if it got up to 90, we would say, okay, there's a change, so obviously it's reflecting people's reviews. But this has not changed for roughly 47,000 new ratings that I've been watching closely. This is obviously a lie because this should be going up and down. This is a lie. This is fantasy. And this is actually probably 50 or 60%. And they're not wanting to show it, which is also interesting. I'm not going to get into it, but if you were to go in and read these reviews, a lot of these reviews are negative. Rotten Tomatoes is covering for Disney. They're making it look a lot better than what it's supposed to be. At the end of the day, no matter how you slice and dice it and try to hide it and skew it, The Rise of Skywalker lost money. And remember that this budget is to make the film. It's not the marketing, which is always double, so it cost them $500 million. Then you tack on all the reshoots and cuts and rewrites and actors and crew, and this movie is probably close to $1 billion in cost. And it's made $434 million. You're talking about it's losing almost double. This is worse than Solo. This is Cat's territory. I just wanted to show everyone that Scotty's back on his shit, and as usual, and it's not just him, a lot of these guys, they'll word things to get the crowds to, oh wow, people just read headlines and then they go to the office. Oh, did you know that Star Wars broke $500 million? And then everybody's around the water cooler like, oh wow, it's doing good, great. No, it hasn't. It's made $434 million and counting. I love that, Scotty boy. Tomorrow they could not sell another ticket. This movie's going to make money. Nobody ever doubted that. But every day the numbers are going to be declining. And by this next weekend, it's probably going to be 50% from what it was. I'm going to call it one more time. This movie is going to make $500 to $600 million, 700 top. And it's not going to reach $1 billion. And at the end of the day, Disney can say what they want. Oh, but we only spent 250. So if we made 750, we still made $5. No, we all know, Disney knows that this movie needs to make $1 billion. Why? Because not only was George Lucas era doing that, but most important, Rogue One made $1 billion. The Last Jedi made 1.33. And as much as Scotty boy likes to talk trash about The Force Awakens, it made 2.06 billion at minimum. Just like I said in my other video the other day, the only way that Disney can call this a triumph, regardless of opening and toys and all that, is they need to make $1.33 billion. If they make a penny short of that, everyone's going to say, we told you so. Well, guess what? This movie has about a week to 2 weeks more of life in the theaters because everybody's pissed, everybody hates this damn movie, and it's not going to make $1 billion. I had recorded this video on Christmas, December 25th. Once I began editing it, my internet went out. Something happened in my area, and I haven't had internet for 2 days until this morning, the 27th, Friday, my internet came back. So I wanted to make a Christmas video, so much for that, but things sometimes happen for a reason. so I wanted to give you guys a quick update. The Rise of Skywalker, this morning, December 27th, is now worldwide at 517,109,866. I want to mention that while I will always shred Disney for their disgrace and mess and disrespect, I'm also a very fair and honest person, so I will always show the truth. So as you can see, Rise of Skywalker, at least worldwide, has broken 500 million. According to their numbers, they spent 250 million on this movie. Domestically, it's made 259. I really don't believe that they spent only $250 million on that. In the future, we'll see the true number there. Kathleen would have loved, obviously, that this 517 was domestic. The only reason it's reached this is because internationally it's giving it legs. It's almost identical numbers here. In any event, I wanted to be fair and show that it's reached 517 million as of this morning, Friday. I still say that it's not going to go any farther than 700 million. We will again see. I don't think, and there's no way that this movie is going to make $1 billion. It's going to start declining, and this weekend will be very telling, of course. It just doesn't have enough legs. They may extend it and leave it in theaters for 2 months. That's another thing they probably will do, is try to drag it out so that, reach those kind of numbers. I think that the theaters are going to be empty. I mean, opening day, they were empty. Theaters aren't going to want to hold on to this movie. Granted, Disney puts pressure on theaters and they say you have to play this or we're going to take other movies from you. So they may be forced to do so, but the theaters are going to be empty. And I just don't see this movie making $1 billion. Rotten Tomatoes. This is, again, Friday the 27th. As you can see, the critics have gone up a bit. I believe it was 412 in the earlier part of my video. Now it's at 420. Still at 55. You see it jumped up again. Earlier I showed you that it was around 49,000. Now here it is at 58,000. Almost 59. And it's still at 86. So it is very clear that more and more reviews come in and that number does not go up nor down. And that's just not realistic. It will be very interesting to see what this real number is going to become. I say 60. Kevin Smith, ironically, just put out a video. He does a review of The Rise of Skywalker, obviously. And I find it interesting because he goes over the whole movie. He says that he saw it 4 times, but he kind of makes some mistakes in the things he describes, which I think is interesting. But overall, he gives it a good score. If you pay attention to the video, it's very interesting because he very carefully picks apart the film and calls out all the mistakes, which I was kind of shocked. I thought he was going to be a total shill here and just say how great it was. At the end of the day, he does like the film and he defends it, but it's interesting that he very carefully points out a lot of things. And then he walks it back, of course, because he wants Disney support. And, we know how that goes, how he's been basically a shill these past few years for Disney and the Star Wars trilogy. I wanted to play just a quick few seconds of his video, and I encourage you guys to go watch it. Not that I want to give him views, but I think it's interesting how he pretty much picks apart this film, but yet at the end of the day, he defends it.
I'm in this movie. I'll spoil it for you, man. I don't have a big role. I have a little walk-on. Barely a cameo walk-on thing, but I'm in a Star Wars movie, so that makes me obviously not very objective and stuff. But I wrote down everything I thought about the movie, and we're ready to go through it, man. If you're ready to do this with me.
So there you go. I encourage you guys to take a look because it's an interesting take. Again, he really points out a lot of problems. So I'm shocked that he likes the film, but as he said, he's in it, so he doesn't want to mess up his Disney relationship. Check out the video and you'll see for yourselves. It's interesting. I'm going to leave you with that. I just wanted to make a short video and show you what Scotty's up to. Very Merry Christmas to everyone. I want to thank everyone lately that's been showing a lot of support. I'm getting some new subs and followers. I very much appreciate it. There's a Facebook group, Not My Star Wars. There's my Twitter, Not My Star Wars 77. I have a lot more stuff coming, and I wish everyone a very, very Merry Christmas. May the Force be with all of you. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the video.